22 years old, Peter Sagan, the Slovakian national road race champion, he survived a flat tire near the finish yesterday to win the opening stage of the Amgen Tour of California into Santa Rosa. The riders are already underway on day 2 as they ride past the Presidio here now, heading south from San Francisco down to the Santa Cruz County. And of course, they're passing in the shadow of the famous Golden Gate Bridge. We really are in California. It's next. Yesterday, the stunning scenery around Santa Rosa welcomed the start of the 7th Amgen Tour of California. The crowds watched as 8 riders led the way around Sonoma County. Caught with 5 miles to go, stage favourite Peter Sagan flatted with only 4 miles left. Then, as Sagan caught up, a mass pile-up ended the hopes of others. In the end, Sagan, riding on the adrenaline of his day, ended it with a victory. The 22-year-old Slovakian is the first holder of the yellow jersey in the Amgen Tour of California, as today we tackle the slopes of the Empire Grade and Berkeley Grove. It's stage 2 next. Hello and welcome to the second day of the 7th year of the Amgen Tour of California. Today we leave the Bay of San Francisco and we go south to the Santa Cruz County. It's a long way, 117 miles on the stage, sponsored by Visit California. The riders will say goodbye to Pier 39 here in San Francisco. They'll see the vision of the Golden Gate Bridge and then they will head down to the beaches of Santa Cruz. And I'm happy to say the sun is out. It's a beautiful day. Hello everybody, I'm Phil Liggett. Alongside me is Paul Sherwin. And yes, well, the first stage yesterday, I think, Paul, it was a very hard day. We said it was going to be a tough race. It destroyed the hopes already of half the field.
Yes, in fact, there's only 60 riders left in this bike race who can win overall. And let's not forget, Phil, when we came down here in 2009, a certain Levi Leipheimer laid the foundations of his final overall victory on these very same roads.
Well, yesterday, the man who turned potential disaster into success was the 22-year-old national champion, Peter Sagan. It was an incredible ride from a flat tyre to first place, and the reward, the Amgen yellow jersey.
Yes, this man, you know, Phil, at 22 years of age, he rides with the experience of a seasoned professional. It's amazing to think how long he's been around, because he really is going to be a star of the future.
Let's have a look then at the Cliff Bar overall standings as we go out today. Peter Sagan, after his win yesterday in small bonuses, 4 seconds over Heinrich Hausler, the same over the American Jeff Lauder, 6 seconds over Fred Rodriguez, and 6-2 over the local man today, Ben-Jacques Main. So let's have a look, Paul, at the Visit California race route. It's tough at the end, isn't it?
It is very tough at the end. It's a long ride for the riders today, as you've said, Phil. 180 kilometres, 117 miles. They will leave a beautiful bay behind them. They will leave the shadows of the Golden Gate Bridge. But once they get down into Half Moon Bay, look what the final part of the race looks like. They start to climb up to the top of Empire Grade. A very tricky descent, and then it's over Beach Creek Road and right down here into the finish, where I think we'll see a big decision made.
Yes, and that's where we're speaking to you from right now. Here's our Rabobank checking the stats. 16 teams started so far, all riders still in the race. That means 45 Americans taking part.
Well, they've been to Santa Cruz County before. Previous winners Dave Zabriskie in 2010. Tom Peterson won here in 2009. Levi Leipheimer was second on that occasion, and not a happy man.
Well, these are live pictures now, and what a beautiful day it is here as we course down Pacific Highway #1 here on the west coast of California. You will see all day stunningly beautiful photographs coming to you, especially if you're watching our coverage in HD. This is the peloton. Now, they're given a big lead to these 6 riders. They got away at around 22 miles into the course today. And I'm sorry a little bit about the picture breakup. We shouldn't be getting those on these lovely clear days, but we are. Here we switch back to the peloton now. Team Exergy doing a bit of work. This is Levi Leipheimer now. He had a good day yesterday, considering that 5.5 weeks ago he had a broken leg. He's fought his way back to form. He won the most courageous rider prize yesterday. It looks as though he's being brought up towards the front of the peloton by his team at the moment. Well, this plane has been buzzing this for quite a while, keeping a close eye on the race. Team Team XG, stepping on the gas on the front of the race here. They're beginning to work pretty hard now because they know that once they swing off Highway 1, we're already in Santa Cruz County. We came south through San Mateo County, across the border, and then we're heading towards a left-hand turn. And as you can see, we have lovely, warm, sunny skies today. And this is the boys working at the front, Upton Kelly Benefit Strategies. And here are all the current leaders for you now. Jeremy Fennell, the New Zealand rider on the Bristol racing team. Alexander Geniez is also in this breakaway. Juan Suarez, a Colombian climber, he'll be looking for the next hour of racing. So as the riders continue to move on, everybody now reasonably content, Paul, but there's a visible urgency in the peloton now. I think they might be giving this too much of a lead.
I think the main field, Phil, and most of the team managers. I spoke to Jonathan Waters this morning and asked him what the situation was going to be, and he felt they could allow the breakaway to get a big advantage because of the difficulty of this final 20 or 30 miles around the county of Santa Cruz, because with those two big climbs stacked up, Empire Grade and Bear Creek, the big professional teams on the international circuit reckon they can wipe out the advantage very, very easily.
The rider here looking rather uncomfortably positioned as he makes his way down is Sam Johnson here, the American on Team XG. But just to continue your theme there, Paul, yes, the two climbs will take us over 2,200 feet on Summits Road and 2,500 feet on the Empire Grade, so around about 750 meters. See if we can have the Suter Homes weather check, and there it is, 63 degrees Fahrenheit. Very light winds, which is as well because it will be a headwind run into the finish. Forecast is sunny, and that is the Sutter Home weather forecast for you. And there's our speed, 26 miles an hour for the peloton, and as you can see, we're not exactly going downhill here, so it's for the breakaway out rather. The gap is coming down. They've pulled back a minute on this breakaway in a very short time, so the chase is on, and maybe when we swing onto the hills today, we will see the gap close quite quickly. The beauty of California as we head for our first break, and the boys are not safe up front. This is the Amgen Tour of California on NBC Sports Network, brought to you by Amgen. Pioneering science delivers vital medicines. Visit us at amgen.com. And by AEG, giving the world reason to cheer. And by Visit California. Start your tour of the Golden State at visitcalifornia.com. California, find yourself here. And by Proform TDF, the official training bike of the Tour de France. Visit proform.com to see more. The beauty of one of the most beautiful cities in the world, San Francisco in California. Around the bay here, all the iconic landmarks. The riders toured the city before they went south today, earlier this morning. This is David Bowie here, who had a great day, winning all 4 climbs yesterday. Therefore, he's the leader in the Nissan King of the Mountains competition, and will be very happy with the breakaway staying to the end, because they cannot pick enough points up to take that leader's jersey off him if they stay away for the top of the 2 climbs today. He's stoking up for the food here, getting ready for the climb. This is a good result so far for the Canadian. He rides on the Spider Tech powered by C10 team, and there, no, not now, I'm busy talking. And it's managed by Steve Bauer, who was probably the best ever Canadian cyclist. He's looking after those youngsters too. So these are the leaders now. The man who's gained most, you see Jay Fennell there, Jeremy, plus 10. That's his deficit at the start this morning, just 10 seconds behind. So we don't have to be a mathematician to know that he's now a long way in front overall if the race were to end right now. But that isn't the case. That is why it's not ending right now. Very soon we will be making a left turn off the beauty of the Pacific Highway and heading up the mountain, starting with the Empire Grade, which visits Bonnie Doon climb on and off on the way up, and will take us up to a height of 2,523 feet. Just look at the calm waters here of the ocean today. So as they start, it's looking down here as we're looking down onto the pure land. They've even built the fields right out. All right, let's check in then with Bob Roll for today's Nissan innovation for all.
I'm Ted Arnold with Team Radio Shack, and the mechanics who are working behind me are the unsung heroes of the team. They're up every morning before I am working, and when I'm back lounging in the room after a hard day of doing what I do, they're usually out here still working. These guys want everything right. The last thing they want to do is know that one of the bikes they worked on, something happened on the road. And each one of these guys that works on a bike, they work on the same bikes throughout the week. So the bikes are only a part of it. You'll see them come back, they'll wash all the bikes, they'll prep them, get them ready for tomorrow, they'll wash the vehicles, and then they go back over, the riders will come back, and if anything wasn't perfect, they'll let them know, hey, I need to do this or that, and they'll make those adjustments. And like I said, if they make an adjustment to one bike, based on something, they'll have to make it to the backup so that it matches perfectly. It's almost as if these guys' work is never done.
Believe me, it never is. That's our Nissan innovation for all, and Bob Rowe's behind the camera on this occasion, so I'm sorry about that as we rejoin the action here. And the black jerseys, by the way, apart from the black jersey on the right of our picture, which is Radio Shack, are being ridden by the Colombian Calder Sports squad, and they're going to enjoy the race now it's getting into the hills, and they've got one man in the break. Rider in the breakaway from the Columbia Calder Sport team is Juan Suarez, and he is a very good climber, Paul, and it would not surprise me if this man makes a run for it as soon as these mountains start.
Well, we're on the foothills, and I think you can see the urgency in the main peloton, Phil. They also want to make sure that they start this climb with a good head of steam at the front end of the peloton. We're looking at about 76 kilometers to go, or 47 miles of racing. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty, if you like. This is the serious part. This is the part of the course that everybody has been thinking about since they left San Francisco this morning.
The peloton is large, it's compact, and as far as we know, there is nobody behind the big peloton today. At this stage yesterday, we'd lost half the field on the hills. Amazing, 128 riders in the race. They're big teams too, 8-man teams in the event. And yet they lost over 60 riders on the way into the finish yesterday, which meant that they've got no chance now of winning this race by the time we finish at LA Live in Los Angeles on Sunday. But there's still 60 guys who can, and they're all looking very, very determined at the front. That's a real sweep around there. There's a very much a big deal of energy there now as they drive away from the ocean. We'll be starting the lower slopes of the Empire Grade climb shortly.
Well, now we've left Highway 1 behind, and now you can see the urgency of the big teams coming to the front. They're getting themselves organized. They're moving their leaders to the front end of the pack because we're about to see the showdown begin.
Yes, Garmin Barracuda on the front. Well, the urgency now, this is the difference between big-time professional cycling and the rest of the world, because these boys really can ride. As we follow the riders, don't forget you can track your rides with your smartphone or dedicated GPS device, analyze your performance, and you can see how you stack up against friends, locals and professionals. And you get started at Strava.com. And it looks as though the shock of Strava has frozen our field there, but there we are as they continue on now, as Garmin have also taken a hand here. A team that's really got a great deal of confidence in their man Tom Danielson in this race. Well, we'll take a break, but now the action is on. We're going up into them there hills. Saturday, the IZOD IndyCar Series continues on the NBC Sports Network. It's one of the most nerve-wracking weekends in open-wheel racing, the Indianapolis 500 time trials. Coverage begins with pole day, Saturday 11 a.m. on the NBC Sports Network. As we look down briefly from the helicopter, it's all action here. This is Michael Rodriguez, who's tried to break clear of the field. He got porked a little bit. We're now on the climb of the Empire Grade. KOM 1, King of the Mountains 1. It takes us up now to a height of 2,523 feet, the high point of the day of racing. The gap, which at one stage was out to over 8 minutes, is down to 4 minutes 20. As we're seeing now, Alexander Genier in the white on the right indicate to the other two riders. One is Jerry Fennell in the red, and the other rider there from the United Healthcare team is Brad White, to try and work together, even though they've got rid of the rest of the breakaway. one or two boys now beginning to put under pressure at the back of the peloton as well. Just trying to see if we can see the whereabouts of Peter Sagan. He's worried about these climbs. He's not sure he can go up these very quickly. So we've got those three riders surviving now, Paul. We've got Alexander Genier. Genier's had a very interesting day. Yesterday, by the way, he broke away as he passed through Santa Rosa after 20 miles, 32 kilometres, to try and catch a breakaway that was already 8 minutes ahead. He gave up after a while. Today he went away right from the gun with Tom Zerbel, got caught, and then went away in this group, and there he is, number 101. So he's having a very, very good day. I'm sorry, we're looking at the wrong one.
Yeah, 101.
106 is in the break.
Yeah,
the classic switch of cameras.
Yeah, 101 is the sprinter on Team Argos Shimano, Marcel Kittel, a very, very good sprinter. But as you can see, as I've often said, the sprinters have this slight allergy to the climbs, and that's why the pressure has gone on straight away from Colombia Deportes. They really want to try and rumble this race up, but they're not really reacting in the main field. You can see a lot of the same coloured jerseys at the front end of the pack. This is the move now, 106.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
This is Genier at the front, and he's decided to push on here. The man has been in 3 breaks out of 3 so far in this year's event. And the other two aren't resisting here. Brad White is on the right, number 88. He rides for the United Healthcare team, comes from Holland in Michigan. And on the left of the road is Jenny Fennell. Now he's got the most to gain today. He's currently the race leader, having dropped only 10 seconds on the stage yesterday. He rides for Team Bissell, and he's on form too. He's done very, very well in some races in South America recently.
Well, Alexandre Genier, the Frenchman, turned professional back in 2010 with the Skill Shimano squad, which through the last few months has changed its name from 1T4I to the new Argos Shimano team. He's actually a pretty handy bike rider, Phil, because a couple of years ago he finished 2nd overall in the Route du Sud, which is a very mountainous race in the southern part of France on the mountains of the Pyrenees.
And he can handle himself too. 2nd overall in the Tour of Luxembourg last year, which is a preparation race for the Tour de France. Now this is Rodriguez here. He's not really pulling away from the field and bearing the scars of the crashes yesterday here, because this is Michael Matthews, and it looks as though he may be knocked around a bit from that crash yesterday. You may have seen him hit the centre. He collided with one of his own Rabobank teammates and shot across to the left of the road.
No, you certainly did, and this is a very fine move here. This is Alexandre Genier. It's good to see in a race like this, the youngsters get a chance to show off why they are the future of the sport. And Genier, at just 24 years of age, has been a professional for 3 years, but he's only had 1 win, and that was the Tour of Austria, a very hilly race. This is Robbie McEwen going out of the back now. Now you can see, you get an idea of how difficult this climb is, and this, of course, Phil, is only the hors d'oeuvre. It's only the starter. We've still got the main course to come once we get to the next climb of the day, which I think is a lot more difficult, and that's the climb of Bear Creek Road.
Well, McEwen there, he admits he can't climb hills, but throughout his career, which ends by the end of this week outside LA Live, a career which has won over 200 bike races, but he was not a climber, so he could serve himself. There's always a time limit on the time you must get in after the winner crosses the line, so you can't just sit up and pedal home and come in tomorrow night, which means he's got to keep the pressure on. He'll limit his losses as long as he can.
Yeah, Phil, to put that into perspective, today's elimination time is only 8% of the winner's time on the stage, and if you work out that we're only looking at a 4-hour race, 8% of 4 hours is really not very much at all. You don't want to get dropped too early, especially so far from the finish.
It's about 21 minutes, and I'll tell you what, that to be dropped as the climb is starting, with another climb still to come, that doesn't augur too well, so he's got to watch himself here. Continuing to make slight progress, but not really going anywhere just now. Michael Rodriguez, the Colombian rider, who made his move, but the peloton, he's got about 150 meters, and he's just hanging there. The peloton are just holding on here, but the way they're fanned across the road, there's a lot of guys willing to make the running.
Yeah, they are, Phil. I think the Colombian attack there really was just to try and see if there was going to be any response from the main field, but the main field are going so fast that nobody's actually able to respond to that attack. But if you look over to the right-hand side, those black jerseys, that's the Bontrager Livestrong team. That's a development squad of under 23-year-old riders. The team leader there, we reckon, is Josh Atkins, the Kiwi rider on that squad. And this is what it's like at the back end of the main field. this is where you don't really want to be, because you can see, if you look at their body language of one or two of these riders, they're bowing down. At the front, though, nice to see Levi Leipheimer in the middle there, briefly in that pale blue jersey. Jens Voigt in the black-shouldered jersey of Radio Shack Nissan Trek, always an aggressive bike rider. There's Levi Leipheimer just on the left-hand side of that pale blue jersey. He knows his climb, Phil, and in the past he's used the slopes of this climb to lay down his foundations for victory. Today, it's a different kind of test for him. It's not a test to see if he can win this bike race. It's a test to see if his leg is recovering and getting better from that break.
Well, I must say, if Chris Horner has anything to do with it, he says quite openly that Levi Leipheimer is playing possum, and his broken leg, which is now 5.5 weeks ago, since he was knocked off by a car in training in Spain, it was a severe break. And I must say, he seems to, I don't know how, Paul, to come back after a complete break of the leg and ride at this level. Even just to finish yesterday, I thought was a great achievement. But he looks to me as though he really does have good condition.
Yeah, but don't forget, Phil, there's no telling lies at all. We saw the X-ray. The X-ray was an absolute certain break. I don't know how it was put back together. I do know that he would have been looked after by some of the best physiotherapists and doctors in the world to make sure that he didn't lose too much form. As we stay here with number 106, the rider who's launched a very interesting attack, Alexandre Genier of France.
Just looking here, Jimmy, this is a good move. There is Levi Leipheimer. It's a big test personally for him now. He's riding with the best riders up at the front. This is a crucial test on the climb of the Empire Grade. If he's with them at the top, he'll be with them in Los Angeles. Welcome back. It's day 2 of the Amgen Tour of California, presented by Visit California, as this man has the best spot in the house, coursing down the Pacific Highway. The riders have gone through there now. They've turned their backs on the beautiful ocean, and we're getting into the mountains and climbing up Empire Grade. And this man is Alexandre Genier, who's just broken away from the other 5 riders he's been in the lead with, and a very confident mood indeed, I have to say. The gap still 4 minutes and 25 seconds. If that sounds a lot, well, I can tell you it's coming down from around about 8.5 minutes. So they are attempting now to bring him back before we get down to the finish in Santa Cruz County. This is the main peloton. This is the route for you, and just take a look at this, because they're halfway up the climb now of the Empire Grade. It tops out at 2,523 feet. Well, it looks to me, Paul, the grade is getting a little bit harder, and we'll swing on to a portion of the Donnybrook Road shortly. Mac Boucher is just there on the right, on the Radio Shack colours. You see the red bands around, the USA flag. He is the national road racing champion. And I must say that the men that matter feel as though they've got this under control. Just putting his hand in the back pocket there in the black is the defending champion, Paul, Chris Horner. And you know, I think he's feeling very confident to repeat his victory.
Well, he's trying to make sure he keeps his energy levels topped up as much as possible. Anyway, Phil, time for a little bit of a history lesson, because did you know that Bonnie Doon was named after a Scotsman living here by the name of Bonnie Doon? And he was actually named after the famous line in the Robert Burns song, The Banks of Doon. And he set up the place at the top here as a logging cabin originally. And that's where this climb in this area got its name from originally, way back in 1850.
I thought he might have built it as a place of rest after the long climb up the slopes of Bonnie Doon. Yes, we're not climbing the whole of Bonnie Doon. We come onto that climb and go off it again as we continue up the Empire Grade this year. As we see number 94, Victor Hugo Peña there, Colombian, who was the first Colombian to wear the maillot jaune, or won the maillot jaune for 3 days in the Tour de France in 2003. He took it on his birthday. Now back to the leader, and this, I think, he must be very confident, Paul, because he attacked yesterday. It was a silly move. He waited, stayed away, went back to the field. Attacked at the start today, didn't work, and back to the field. Then he got into the move, which has been away for quite some time. Genet really has good condition.
Well, he does, but I was just thinking the fact that he was getting out of the saddle rather repetitive there, Phil, was an indication that he's starting to pay for the price of that long breakaway that he's been in. And if you look at the faces of these riders here, there's a lot of concentration now as we get to the steeper part of the climb. This climb is a long climb. It's only 14% the average grade, but it gets steeper as we get up towards the top. And as you can see, Ben Jacksmain just sitting in the middle there. This is part of his training route. He knows this road very, very well. In fact, he was born not too far away from here before he moved a little bit further upstate. The leader is getting down to the job in hand, but he realizes now, Phil, that his advantage is starting to crumble. He started the climb with a big advantage of around about 6 minutes, but very quickly it's dropped down to 4.
Well, he's got to keep a high tempo here. Now, it's not a major slope at the moment. You can tell that by the way his chain is on the biggest chain wheel down there. He's just trying to keep a good rhythm going. And the brilliant way the Highway Patrol closed down the highways here for the passage of the race. He can use the whole road as he climbs up the Empire Grade. The peloton have got themselves, shall we say, better organised now. More sensible tempo. And Tom Danielson there is on the left, second left in fact, in the blue jersey. He's come to the front personally now to check out the tempo of the climb.
Well, these guys, they all want to be near the front. Andrew Talansky's not very far away from the front end of the peloton either. You can look at these riders' faces, Phil. They are very nervous. They're all waiting to see if somebody is going to make a move. I have a feeling today though, that the attack will come actually on the next climb of the day. This is the warm-up. This is getting the legs moving, a change of the pedaling action before we start to get there.
Where's Peter Sagan in the yellow jersey, just watching everything that they're throwing at him at the moment. He's not in any worries at all. They're bringing back the leaders, and he's just hoping it'll be a quiet ride. But I somehow doubt it will be. The tempo will continue to lift. So looking there, I caught a glimpse too also of Cameron Meyer, the Australian there, who was the national time trial champion last year of the Australians. And he was riding on the front for the new Orica Green Edge team. But Peter Sagan, that's the jersey they want, and they've still got time to take it off his shoulders. Peter Sagan far from safe today. Welcome back. We're still on the climb of the Empire Grade here on the second stage of and there's a massive pile up on the right of the road as we go around that corner. What on earth happened on what is a very wide road? But there are riders there. Sagan is on the floor, the leader there, and he looks a little bit hurt there. And he's hurt on the elbow at the moment. He's looking at that. And Peter Sagan, and also down here, a couple of the Colombian riders in Quintero and Peña are riders down there as well. I've also caught a glimpse of Bontrager Livestrong's Josh Atkins. He's 6th overall in the race. Well, these accidents really should not happen on roads like this. You can hear the chaos. The yellow jersey off his bike on a stage of the race for the second time in as many days. Last time he was approaching the finish. Let's have a look. So, top of your picture, let's see if we can see what happened. Well, everybody, the actual fall was almost in slow motion, although it did appear that Peter Sagan might have hurt himself a little bit. He's looked for his bike, though, as they now search to find their way back. Here we are, and the race doctor there just taking us his teammate, so his team car, so that's good. He's scurrying back up to the race now. He's taken his bottle, and just at the back here now, this is George Hincapie there, also number 35. He must have been involved, having to rejoin the race very, very quickly. His riders know that speed is of the essence here. Now, this might be the classic professional foul. There's probably nothing wrong with the back brake. A little help, perhaps, to keep him on his memento. Sitting up no-handed is Michael Matthews, I think involved in a crash for the second day. I'm not so sure he was down this time. But they've obviously heard the crash because the tempo is quick now. 5 kilometers as they run on now up towards the summit of the climb. A good fast tempo still. And I think the sound of bending metal or bending carbon fiber these days in the center of the peloton has lifted the pace here. This is Nathan Haas, the Australian member of the Garmin Barracuda team, a first-year pro with this team, and he had a great season last year, which caused Jonathan Porters to sign him up. This is further down the list. Now, Peter Sagan yesterday was warned for getting in amongst the cars, and he was fined $75 on the way back after he stopped near the finish. Now, he's now back in the cars again. You have to be very careful. You do not take the slipstream of these vehicles for more than a matter of yards. It's down to the referees to judge when he is creating an infringement of the regulations. But basically, you've got to keep moving forward.
I think, Phil is going to breathe a big sigh of relief there, because he's just about to get onto the back end of the main field. But that's been a very long, hard chase for this young man. I don't think the referees are going to give him any fines here this afternoon. Most of the stuff he did was reasonably legal there. He didn't hang on to any cars. And as you can see, the highway patrol car in front, this is the main field. He's just got himself back, but what another sigh of relief. It happened to him yesterday. He had bad luck, and he's had it once again today.
I also saw the American youngster there, 19-year-old Josh Atkins, was also involved in that crash, and he's sitting 6th overall in the race. He hasn't come back just yet as they start to move up. Paul Martins is 42, 47 is Lawrence Tendam. They've just rejoined with Sagan. Now Sagan has just recovered. He's letting everybody see he's back. Get a good look at my yellow jersey. You haven't left me behind. And he'll slowly cruise the peloton.
You might just have noticed that little wink across to his teammate there on the far side, where that was just to let his teammate know, yeah, I've been down, but I'm fine. I'm back, and I'm back on the defensive. I am the overall leader of this race, and I'm back, and I'm not going to give this yellow jersey away that easily at the end of the day. I love this guy, though, Phil. This is Jens Voigt. He's an amazing professional bike rider, 40 years of age. He looks every time he gets on the bike as if he's trying to fight.
I'll tell you what, he's the only German cyclist to podium in this race ever, and he did it when he finished second back in 2007. The last kilometre to the summit, so the King of the Mountains points in the Nissan competition. At the top here will give him 10 points. Even if he won the next climb of Summit Road, he couldn't overtake the gains of 22 points yesterday by David Bowie, who won all 4 climbs, but he would get a little bit closer, wouldn't he? So he's anxious to get up to the top first.
Certainly would, but for him this is the hardest part of the climb, and it's not over the climbing today, as again we have a quick look at the back end of the main field. Just looking at that move there by Sagan, I think he might well have hurt himself when he went down there. He's trying to stretch his back. It's never a lot of fun anytime you fall off, and it always makes me laugh, Phil, when you hear the race referees crackling over the airwaves. Un chute sans gravité, which in French means there's been a crash without too much of a problem. It's always a problem for the bike rider when he goes down.
I told the story once on the Tour de France in the 70s when the referee said exactly that. It was a not serious crash. And then I saw the rider come home 20 minutes behind the field, and I thought he'd auditioned for a part in The Invisible Man because he was totally covered in bandages. Anyway, Sagan is back in the bunch, hurt or not. Nathan Haas is stepping on the front. A lot of work being done by Nathan Haas of Garmin Barracuda. As a result, that team has done 37% of the work in the last 10 minutes, and 26% has been done by Liquigas Cannondale.
It's not a surprise because Liquigas Cannondale, Phil, have got 2 jobs to do here in this bike race here this afternoon. We're not too far away from the summit, though, for the leader of this race here on the road, and that's Alexandre Genier. Once he goes over the top, he will plunge down, and it is actually a very tricky and precarious descent away from the top of Empire Grade, Phil, down into the valley, before he then lines up for a really difficult climb, the climb of Bear Creek. It's an average gradient of between 7 and 9%, and then there will be 3 miles of climbing. The next climb, the final climb of the day, is Bear Creek.
As they're going up then towards Bear Creek, we are told that the descent of Bear Creek is very, very narrow and tortuous. So, and a number of riders, although we didn't see them, did fall off coming down the mountain yesterday as well. Now, as they continue, they're bringing back one or two of the riders, I think, in the break day, the big Coldest Porters riders and the Optum riders, as they're beginning to line up for a sprint for the King of the Mountains.
Yep, that was Mike Creed coming back there for Optum, and also Juan Pablo Suarez, the Colombian Deportes rider. But you can see no prisoners being taken here at all, and Garmin Barracuda are really putting the hammer down here this afternoon. Look at the way Jens Voigt in the black shirt there is rocking and rolling his body all over the place. They are starting to be under a little bit of pressure here. This man is going to get himself some glory on the day. He will get himself maximum points. There's the line. No challenge at all.
10 points in the Nissan King of the Mountains then for Alexandre Genier. He's not going to wait though and see how far he's got at the moment. The clock is telling us he's got 4 3/4 minutes advantage still, so he's climbed that very well. I know all of Australia will be cheering the rider on the front just now, riding in his first Pro Tour squad of Garmin Barracuda. That's Nathan Haas, and he's a pretty popular guy back in his home state of Victoria. And he's certainly lifting the pace here up now as the gap of 4:45, which is only now timed on the leader, Genier, who's now beginning his short descent before he starts climbing up the Bear Creek climb as well. taking us back up. He's at 2,500 feet at the moment. Only a short descent, and he'll climb back up to 2,200 feet. Going inside, 40 miles from the finish now, and this is Heinrich Hausler here, as he sits at the back, number 13. And there is what is always round the corner, a pile-up, and the yellow jersey. How fortunes change in a matter of 4 or 5 minutes. This man hopes he can be away till the end. We'll take a break. Don't forget, tomorrow our live coverage will continue. The Epic Cycle Series with Stage 3 of the Amgen Tour of California. 3 climbs on the menu tomorrow on a stage of 115 miles. This is a tough route this year. Tomorrow at 5 Eastern on the NBC Sports Network. And we're back with the leader now, Genier. He's actually nosed out a little bit. This is the sprint now for the King of the Mountains here. Remember, the 10 points has gone to Genier. And this is the Nissan King of the Mountains leader, David Boye here from the Spider Tech team. He's got second best points. That man is beginning to look safe in that King of the Mountains jersey. The gap 4 minutes and 3 seconds.
Hold up.
Well, David Boye, Paul, he gets 9 points there, so he's only lost a point at the end of the day, so he's consolidating his situation in the Nissan King of the Mountains. The time cap at the top, 4 minutes and 3 seconds. It's closed down.
It has closed down. Funny to see that, in fact, his big challenger from yesterday, Sebastian Salas, there was also up there looking to get himself a few points. These boys, I think, Phil, are going to battle their way all the way down the state of California for this competition.
Well, Salas, and here he is coming onto our picture now at the moment. He rides on the Optum team. Boye Salas was the order over every climb yesterday, and with the absence of Genier, who's just gone over first, that's the way it's been again today. As we continue to speed down the side of the mountain, Josh Atkins at the back now has got himself back into the action. He's wearing the Best Young Riders jersey, which is really also owned by the yellow jersey at the moment of Peter Sagan. But good to see Josh here, because he was in that crash and he's back. So as we continue now, Josh is going to move himself forward on the way down. So let's have a look then at the Monster Cable jersey breakdown. Here we are. Peter Sagan has the Amgen yellow jersey today. He also owns the Visit California points jersey and the Best Young Riders jersey there by Rabobank. Nissan King of the Mountains polka dot jersey we've just seen on the shoulders of David Boye. Yesterday, the most aggressive rider was run by Ben Jacquemain, and Levi Leipheimer's give the breakaway from Cancer jersey for Courageous, and Exergy sponsor the most aggressive rider. So there's the full jersey contingent for you. Back to the workhorses from Garmin Barracuda, who quite clearly want this race to close down. They know now that they're running out of road. There's one more climb to come, and then it's going to be an undulating and eventually flat ride to the finish. A little bit of a problem here from Nathan Haas. We've just seen Nathan on the front setting the pace. He's dropping back to the car. Maybe his job done for the day. So Nathan Haas, Paul, dropping to the back. He's made a big effort, and he's now become the water carrier now. It's time to get all the bottles for the team. And doing it also with him here on the Orica Green Edge squad is Luke Durbridge.
All the Aussies at the back for the drinks, mate. I think they're going to take the drinks bar right to the front of the main field. These guys are learning their trade here, Phil, in a race like this.
Yep.
Don't forget, Durbridge had a great individual time trialist, but here they've got to learn what it's about being in a team. We talk so much about the individual glory that some guys get in a bike race, but you know, you can't be a successful bike rider unless you've got a great team around you. And this is all part of the daily chores that go on in any bike race around the world.
Riding with his hand up here is Yannick Eisen, the Belgian rider on the American BMC racing team. That's how he signals to the race referees, but I think he wants a drink as well.
Yeah, but this man has to get himself organised and down to the job in hand, because currently Alexander Genier, he's got a couple of minutes advantage still, because you know Jeremy Venel and Brad White have not yet been picked up, and they're around about a minute in front of the main field. This is Lloyd de Monderie. He's about to get picked up, but it really is a big charge getting organised by the men in blue. Garmin Barracuda are taking control of this bike race.
Oh, listen, quite right. We haven't seen Jeremy Venel picked up here, which means that Boye didn't take second on the map. He's probably fourth or fifth was the sprint there for Boye and Salas. And this is the wipeout now of Lloyd Mondry from Team AG2R. So I think we only have up the road now Alexander Genier and Jeremy Venel, and Brad White as well.
Yep. Well, we're just having a quick look here at Lloyd Bondery.
Let's have a look at the King of the Mountain, Paul. I can tell you that it was Genier gets 10 points, Brad White gets 9, Fennell gets 7, Lloyd Moncrief was 6, and David Boye, actually sweeping up from the peloton, gets 5 today, and Salas 4. Tom Peterson, another stage winner in the Santa Cruz County, over the top in 7th place. He likes this region.
He certainly does. He won into this Santa Cruz County back in 2009 ahead of Levi Leipheimer.
Now this man in full cry now as we look at Alexander Genier, second overall in the Tour of Luxembourg last year, which is basically a flat race, believe it or not, in the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg. All right, well, let's take a look at who you, the fans, thought would win today's stage. Chris Horner, 12.8% you think he might. Peter Sagan, 10.6%. TJ Van Garderen, 10.4%. And the rest of the field stands at 66.3%. Don't forget to enter your pick for tomorrow's stage and a chance to win $1,000. Head on over to roadid.com/ride. There's George Hincapie, who is looking to ride and gain selection for his team to ride his 17th Tour de France this year. And if he does that, he'll achieve something nobody else has ever done. You might also remember in our coverage in previous years of George flashing home in Pasadena on one of his 3-stage wins in the Amgen Tour of California. What a tribute to being a great athlete is George Hincapie, guiding the youngsters all of the time. At the moment he's training them how to hold a water bottle and then get rid of it, as George just holds the team all around him. So the field are consolidating now over the top of the Empire Grade. We've still got the next one, which is Bear Creek, taking us back up to 2200. There's plenty of action still to come, and this rider still has a chance. Well, today the riders having set off from the iconic landmark San Francisco. This the view from the Golden Gate Bridge here across the bay to a most beautiful city, as these pictures coming to you from Visit California. All around here, the beauty of the hillsides, the wine region, as well as the redwood forest and the beaches, as well as we're bound now to race down to Santa Cruz County. Fun and games on the beaches when we get there, although the riders themselves will be more concerned about how they get there as they battle through the mountains today to head down to Santa Cruz County. Those are pictures by Visit California. Now take a look at that as we come back, just balancing on one leg as he went round. This is the leader on the descent. He is absolutely flying. That was moments ago, as Alexander Genier is trying desperately now to keep away from the field. Now the peloton are still to come down this stretch of road. It is going to be a very, very hazardous descent for them. He's taking big risks because he wants to hold on to his advantage before he starts the climb of Bear Creek, which will take him back up the mountain. This is a very determined man today. He wants success. It's the 3rd time he has attacked in 2 days of racing, and now he's on his own. But I have to say that really was almost overcooking it. Just ripped his foot off those cleats to get round that bend. So now as we continue cruising down, the lion's share of the work in the peloton still being done by Tommy Danielson's Garmin Barracuda team. They're on that section of the descent where moments ago Genier overshot the corner. You might be able to hear the brakes slamming on here as they start to go down. A lot of the car brakes just behind, of course. They've got to be just as vigilant going down behind these riders. Very, very cautious now, Paul. Look at the attitude of the Garmin boys at the front. This is different. Adverse camera and everything.
Well, you know, these guys are in the best position. They can take their own line around the corner. That's why it's so much better to attack these descents when you are at the front end of the pack. And you can hear the squeals every now and again. The squeals are a lot louder than they used to be in my day when we used to use metal rims. A lot of these guys are using carbon fiber rims, and it tends to make a lot more noise when you start to apply the brakes. What you don't want to hear is the scratching of metal against the ground, and that could very easily happen with the risks some of these guys are prepared to take.
Well, it's on the descent, of course, where you can gain time as well as make it. And this is a real sheer drop off the mountain from 2,500 feet to down to about 700 feet above sea level before we climb back up again. So this is a good time for somebody like Genier to take risks. He's on his own. The peloton coming down, if I have to say, with a lot more common sense right now.
Well, for Junior, Phil, he's in a different situation. He's trying to keep onto as much of his advantage as possible. I tell you what, it's looking a little bit precarious there as well, as even Garmin Barracuda now are taking a few risks. I don't think there will be a change in the time gap from the top of the climb to the bottom here between the leader, Junior, and the main field there, because he went downhill exceptionally well. But we will start to see his lead tumble again, Phil, once we start the next climb of the day, because it's going to be hard. 3 miles long, 5 kilometres. Bear Creek Road is an average of between 7 and 9% grade.
Well, a little bit of daredevil descending. Actually, he's distanced this rider from the peloton for the moment. Just to give you a complete across-the-board situation, Genier is 2 minutes 47 ahead of Jeremy Fennell, who was with him originally, and Brad White of the United Healthcare, and in turn 3:34, although it's gone back up to 3:55 to the peloton, which is where we'll find the yellow jersey of Peter Sagan.
Well, I think this guy from Garmin Barracuda, Phil, all of a sudden he saw that he was putting his teammates under a bit of stress, so he decided to back off a fraction. There's no need for them to attack on this descent, but I think what we're seeing, the development of a tactic here, because Garmin Barracuda, I think, are starting to set themselves up for a big attack, a big launch on the next climb of the day, Bear Creek Road.
And that may have a much more important bearing on the situation, because the descent off Bear Creek is also hazardous, and with a great deal more importance, of course, because we're heading towards the last sprint of the day and then down to the finishing line down in Santa Cruz County. Well, this rider here now can breathe. He's opened a little bit of breath of fresh air between him as he continues to come down. I can't quite see myself who it is, but it's the Garmin Barracuda rider, and I suspect it might be Tom Peterson who's trying to come down here.
Well, you can just hear the brakes screeching along there, and in fact he's getting himself nice and organised. He's looked back to make sure the gap is not too much, but it's really thrown the cat amongst the pigeons a little bit there with Team Garmin Barracuda. They will get themselves organised.
Well, the fact that Tom Peterson is on the frontier, he can claim 93% of the workload for his team at the moment as they continue the chase down, and that compares with only 7% from the Radio Nissan Trek team. So well, you might like to know that as they're coming themselves back together again. As they continue on the descent, it looks as though Andrew Talansky is hooked up here with Peterson on the back, and the Liquigas Lime Green jerseys there. Liquigas Cannondale also making sure they marshal these moves. This is Josh at the back here, Josh Atkins, who has got his leg bandaged there. He was a faller in that crash, but he's done terrifically well to fight his way back into the action. He's on the tail of the descending peloton. He's only 19 years of age. 2 riders on his squad are 19 years of age, by the way. And the average age of that squad, Bontrager, is 20. So don't forget now to sign up now for the Radio Shack and Tour Tracker. You can follow the race from start to finish, including the text updates, rider location, speed, distance, breaks, and 2 hours of live video each day. So sign up now. Here's the website for you, and we'll take another break. Rejoin us on the way down to Bear Creek.
Fairmount. Well, I think Fairmount is going to be one of the best.
Let's have a look then at the USA Cycling American standings. Jeff Loud had a great day yesterday, and he sits 3rd overall in this race. Freddie Rodriguez also there in 4th. Ben-Jacques Maines in 5th. George Hincapie 9th. These are the best. We've got 45 Americans in this race. These are the top names at the moment in the top 12 places. There's some credit there in 12th. We go back to the action. Our live pictures are feeling rather dead just now, but we go through these trees. It does affect the signal to the helicopters above the riders, but very much now the peloton has split on this descent. Look at that as they try now to bring back that leader. Well, if there is any doubt, Paul, that peloton hasn't split, there you are from the helicopter. There's about 25 riders speeding away from the field here and heading towards the next climb of Bear Creek. We need to get down and see who's in it, but we certainly spotted Robert Gessing is in there, and Luis Leon Sanchez is another one, and so is Tommy Danielson.
There's one thing in a professional bike race, Phil, you can choose the most strategic points that you like anywhere out on the course, and here we are in between the two big mountains of the day. But the race can be won either up the hill or sometimes down the hill, and that's exact. This is a massive big gap that these guys have opened up, and these are not the youngsters anymore. These are the big named riders of the Amgen Tour of California this afternoon. And if you've been left too far behind in the main field this afternoon, you're going to get caught out. But I did see one experienced 22-year-old hasn't been caught out, but Peter Sagan, the overall leader, is in this group.
Well, let's just think about this, Paul, because excuse my voice, by the way, everybody. It'll come back before the end of the race. Levi Leipheimer won this race by 49 seconds back in 2008. That's the biggest ever margin. It's always been won by a few seconds. Yesterday, over 60 riders lost many, many minutes. And now we've got another split going on here right now. That looks like Michael Matthews on the front, who's driving at the moment. He wants this split to stay away, which means he's got the men that matters, Luis Leon Sanchez and Robert Gessing, in that group.
This is the group that's missed out here this afternoon, because that's why you see the urgency of AG2R Le Mondial trying to whip it up at the front end of the chase group. There's Robbie McEwen going through in the Green Edge squad there in the green and black jersey. And this group now all of a sudden are under a serious amount of pressure. The team cars are behind, and if they don't pull it together very, very quickly, they could see, again, this race changing on a day when most people probably didn't think it would change quite that dramatically.
Well, Robbie McEwen's done well to get a lot of friends around him here now, because he must have come back onto the group as it split on the way down that hill. Robbie's a small stature rider, and he can descend very, very quickly indeed. That's how he's got back into this. But you're right, Paul. This race has really got to work hard now to bring back that fleeing group. I want to see if Peter Sagan is in that lead group. He's got a number of teammates in there, which to me says that Sagan has made the front split. Again, still the riders struggling here at the rear. The Optum team here. I've got Sebastian Salas hanging off the back now, who's scoring well. He's still in second place in the Nissan King of the Mountains competition. Now, just looking down, that is Peter Sagan from the helicopter, so he has made that split. So he'll be very happy. It looks to me as though he may have 3 riders in there with him. But is the peloton going to come together? As we look down, well, as the peloton looks as though it might be merging, it looks as though they're going to get back into the action just before we start the next time. So don't forget, our Cliff Bar moment at the Amgen Tour of California is brought to you by the technology of GoPro cameras inside the peloton. I think we can show you the marvellous situation yesterday that Peter Sagan rolled away from Santa Rosa before a really enthusiastic crowd out into the countryside. We went overcast conditions. GoPro cameras, of course, are on the bicycles, and as we stalk the peloton here, you get some idea of the pace. But when they got down to the finishing line, they're passing through there after 32 kilometres. Sagan was the winner of the day. The Cliff Bar moment was brought to you by GoPro cameras. And that was a brief glimpse there too of our GoPro star of yesterday, which is Peter Sagan. At the back of that peloton, we've still got a couple of teammates around him there as well. This is an incredible performance. All the boys in blue are Garmin Barracuda. They had this plan at the start of that climb, and they've executed it, and they've split the front of the field up. Although I have the feeling before the next climb starts, there may be a coming togetherness, and there's the proof of that. As you can see, the bunch in front, those cars in between will be ordered to pull off the road now and let this race rejoin. But of course, they're rejoining at a difficult time of the race. And they've caught out one of the race referee cars there now as they get over the top of him and race this group back together. Well, that's been a tough chase, but they've come back together, and they've come back to fight another day as they get onto the last climb very shortly at Bear Creek, which is a second category climb, which means it's not quite as hard as the first category climb we have just done. So as we look down from the helicopter, let me remind you, of course, that the 95th edition of the Giro d'Italia is taking place, and Universal Sports is your destination for all of the action. Daily live coverage on Universal. It begins at 9:30 Eastern Time every day, and the 2012 Giro d'Italia, by the way, is still being led by the Canadian rider Hejidal after today's stage. So enjoy that. All together, Garmin Barracuda will feel that life at the back seats seems to have got rather crowded all of a sudden as the rider continues on. So as we look here, There's a new look at the new 2013 Nissan Altima pace car, which led out the peloton from today's start. So the field continues on. And that, by the way, is the most innovative Altima ever. Yes, well, the Amgen Tour of California has been on from the gun yesterday, I have to say, and is continued today. And these are supposedly the easier stages of the race. Don't believe it. The riders are here and full of enthusiasm for the hilly terrain of California. Garmin Barracuda have a plan. It's not unfolded yet, though, because this man is still free to fly. See you in a moment. Welcome back as day 2, stage 2 of the Amgen Tour of California. Today's stage presented by Visit California. The rider is now deep in Santa Cruz County, and they're deep high in the mountains at the moment, especially this man who leads the race, Alexander Genier. There's nobody else behind except the peloton, because they've now swept up all of the rest of the breakaway. And he really is riding superbly today, Genier. He's a Frenchman on a Dutch team. There's a little bit of a time check coming from his team car, and cheering him on and trying to urge him on here. But it looks like he's beginning to suffer a little bit. Well, I think we can give you a quick recap on how the day has gone now. As we go early down the start, Peter Sagan signing in at the breakaway from Kansas sign-in board in the first leader's yellow jersey. And a crowded leaderboard, all 128 riders still in the race as they roll away from San Francisco in Marina Green here in the shadow of the beautiful Golden Gate Bridge. That was the rollout, and this leading out there in our Nissan Drive Electric to the finish. A nice look of the Nissan Altima electric pace car there. Big cheers from the crowd in San Francisco. They're turning south, so we didn't go over the Golden Gate Bridge, as the rolling clouds, fluffy as they are in the bay, blowing away to make way for a lovely sunny day today. Look at the shadows of the riders as 6 riders got clear of the field after 22 miles of racing. Peter Sagan quite confident as the climb started of the Empire Grade, and just riding in the peloton. And then up front on the climb of the Empire Grade, Alexander Genier decided he wanted to go alone to see if he could make it to the finish. Meanwhile, preoccupation in the peloton, a massive pile. I think it was more like a tumble, really. Nobody injured in this crash. 1 or 2 caught. Josh Atkins on the right in the orange there checking his bike. He's 6th overall. The yellow jersey was sat on the road, and he was stopped for the 2nd time in as many days. Yesterday it was a flat tyre. Today it was a fall-off. A little bit slow to get up, but basically okay. Quickly back in to tell his teammates he was all right, and rejoined the field there. We continued up the climb 1, and at the top of the hill in the Nissan King of the Mountains, it was 10 points for Alexander Genier as he continued to score for the first time in the King of the Mountains. But coming up not too far down for the lower points was the overall leader of the Nissan King of the Mountains, David Boyer. So he retains that lead and probably will do so tomorrow. 1 more climb still to come. Take a look at this on the way down, though. This is Genier wanting to hold his time gaps, took a lot of risks. He literally ripped his foot off the cleats on that pedal to use his leg to counterbalance the action of the bike. And he's still clear by taking risks like that. The peloton were a little bit more sensible and a little more cautious on the way down. So this is the face now of Genier. It's looking like a man a little bit troubled just now on this climb. 2:35, Paul. He's looking at rather sore, I feel, now at Genier. He's just started the lower slopes of the climb of Bear Creek. As we climb now to a height of 2,200 feet, or at 660 meters, by the way. And then we have an undulation on the way down, a few little unclassified roads which are nasty kickers on the way down. But for the Bear Creek climb, as you said, you think this is harder than the Empire Grade, and I think you're right.
Yes, it is. It's a long climb. It varies between 7 and 9%, and you'll start to see the difference in the pedaling style of the riders. There is Laurenceston Dam with the little bit of 8 o'clock shadow that he goes through there. He's a great teammate.
24 hours shot that one.
Certainly. And then a bit further back, we can start to see the faces of these guys who are very, very concentrated. This is the damage that's being done at the back of the lapels. One of the first guys to get dropped here. Yes. Jeremy Vernel, not a surprise, Phil. He was at the breakaway for a long time, but at least we know he was in the race. 61 dropping backwards as well. Robbie McEwen. He's actually, I think, doing this on purpose. Robbie knows his body. He knows what he can push himself through. He knows how long this race is. Look at the breathing. He's controlling his breathing there. McEwen just on the far side, and that's a new Arica green edge strip. And he will be nursing his way through this stage.
Brad White is with him as well here, number 88, and Brad was also in the breakaway, so the effort is told on them. And still trying to destroy this field in one day of racing is Garmin Barracuda. They are trying to hatch a plan here, and I can only believe it's to break up the field, Paul, or to get Heinrich House to the stage win.
Well, just check on the amount of work that's been done. 88% of the work in the last few moments has been done by Team Garmin Barracuda. They've got a plan. They came out and decided. Martin Jangeli here going backwards from Team Rabobank. He's done his job of work for the race this afternoon. But Phil, if you go back to 2009 when we came down here to Santa Cruz County, the winner, Tom Peterson, Team Garmin Barracuda. It was a different name in those, but the same team structure. And then in 2010, when the race came to Santa Cruz County, it was Dave Zabriskie, same team structure. They know this stage, they want this stage, and they obviously feel that they can dish out some pain. And watch out for the attack coming from Tommy D. Ortolansky later on.
Well, I know what you're saying. They feel it's their stage for sure, and Jonathan Waters, the team owner, has said that they're not worried about breakaways today because they can wipe them all out on these 2 climbs to the finish. Well, he's done it all bar one rider at the moment. As situation at the back here continues to look at, this is the Spider Tech rider Ryan Anderson from Canada, who's now finding the going a little bit tough. Now, clever riders like McEwen will just try to limit their losses and try and get back on, as he's just done, on the descent. But remember that this time, once we get to the top of this climb, we are only 30 miles from the finishing line. So that's the back of the peloton. This is at the front. Only one Garmin Barracuda rider at the front at the moment. Now, the new official Amgen Tour of California race jerseys and other merchandise are available at the race and online at AmgenTourOfCaliforniaStore.com. Get yours today while supplies last. Visit AmgenTourOfCaliforniaStore.com. Well, no longer flying through the trees as we're now going uphill again at the moment. We see the name of Lee Howard at the moment just flashed through. Well, Lee Howard had a good start to the day because when the group were together at the Visit California Sprint at Pacifica on the highway there, he won a 3-second time bonus. And so Lee Howard, if he finishes with these leaders, will be a little bit closer to the overall lead. So it's good tactics there by Lee Howard. The question now is, though, can Alexander Genier make it to the top of the climb? And if he can make it to the top of the climb, can he make it to Santa Cruz County? All will be revealed. On Saturday, the IZOD IndyCar Series continues. It's one of the most nerve-wracking weekends in open-wheel racing because it's the Indianapolis 500 time trials. Coverage will begin with pole day, Saturday, 11 a.m. on the NBC Sports Network. That's where we're heading to. That's the finishing line. As we now have a nice crowd enjoying warm sunshine. These boys are still out in the country and heading up the climb up Bear Creek, which will top out at 2,200 feet today. Rory Sutherland coming to the front in the blue there, second wheel, as he now is a danger man. Rory Sutherland, he can climb, he can time trial. This is a course possibly for him this year, and his United Healthcare team are always animators of this event. But this man so far is leading the charge. So as we see Genier on the front pole, we see at the back of the race now the Nissan King of the Mountains leader, David Boyer, who had a great day yesterday and has had a good climb on the first one, is unhitching at the back.
Well, he's got himself a few points in the bag here this afternoon, but Phil, you know, when you're going a long breakaway like this guy did in a stage race, it's a question of one day or another. You've got to pay for that effort. There's no secret in the sport of professional cycling. He had a hard day yesterday, and yes, he is going backwards, but he will still be the leader of the King of the Mountains classification tonight. Also more damage. Ben King slipping backwards there for Radio Nissan Trek. Also the man who wears the best young rider going backwards, 141, Josh Askins.
Well, Josh is only 19 years of age, and He also was involved in that fall. He is going to be a real class act as the years unfold. Goodness me, he's not old enough to shave yet, Paul. He's enjoying himself. He's crossing swords with some of the greatest bike riders in the world, and he's got a leader's jersey on his shoulders at the moment.
Yeah, Phil, don't forget, these guys, the average age of Bontrager and Livestrong is just 20 years of age. They're racing against, you could almost call them boys, because they're racing against men.
Boys.
They're racing against Tom Bonan. They're racing against Levi Leipheimer. They're racing against the big names of the sport. Chris Horner. For them, it's a chance to get a little bit of a chance to measure themselves against the future.
Well, all the cheers at the upper part of the climb here now is for Alexander Genet. Hearts always go out for a rider who tries like this. He's taken the bull by the horns. He's leading the race towards the finish. He's only 22.5 miles or so from the finish. That's about 37 kilometers. And he knows now that the top of this hill has got to come quick. And then the concentrated effort. And if this field does not crack in the next couple of kilometers to the summit of this climb, we are going to get, I think, a big bunch sprint down at the finishing line. United Healthcare driving at the front. We knew they'd be apart because they are looking to keep Rory Sutherland in the action. Defending champion in the black there in the centre of our picture was Chris Horner. He also looks good.
No, he certainly does. Everybody is looking after their leaders. United Healthcare always ride well in this race. Rory Sutherland's finished in the top 10 on a number of occasions. But it's also, for me, it's interesting, Phil, to keep a very close eye on Robert Hessing, turned professional back in 2005. He is riding consistently near the front end of the pack in second or third position in his orange jersey of Rabobank, always trying to make sure that if anything moves, he's going to go with it.
Well, now we're seeing as the steepness of the slope start to bite at the legs here to Genier. He is really struggling here, and I think the gap will come down fairly quickly at the moment, with Rory Sutherland and Guessing getting near the front of the peloton. So there's still a little way to go up to the summit, about 1.5 miles are still to climb to the summit. Genier is just hanging on. He wants those Nissan King of the Mountains points, but will he get them? He'll be back in time for him to cross the top of the mountain. Welcome back. Our Visit California aerial view today. Where else could it be, as we're so close to the riders leaving the Golden Gate Bridge today at San Francisco, now going south to Southern California as the riders make their way down to Santa Cruz County. 117 miles the stage today, aptly presented by Visit California. Well, this very diverse state here, and as you rejoin us, I can't believe this. These are live pictures, and there is the catch. He's not going to make the top. Alexander Genier has rapidly been brought back by the pacemaking, not of Garmin Barracuda, but of United Healthcare. We are all together in a group going to the summit of the second and last mountain of the day. This is going to give us a whole different bike race right now. Just tagged on to the back of the race there for the I think it was for the BMC racing team, and that was Tim Rowe of Australia, just hanging on to the back of the peloton. 1K to the summit. Just looking at the fourth rider in the line in the orange jersey there, that is Robert Kessig. He loves this race. He's won stages here. He's won the Best Young Rider competition. He's finally too old to win that competition now in this event. He's now looking to win the race overall, and he wants success. He's in a crucial place as we get inside last 800 yards now. We're looking at Peter Sagan, obviously not contesting the top of the climbs, but still in the peloton, but a bit far down, Paul.
Well, I think he's not too concerned here. You know, he has fallen off. He did catch himself back up to the front end of the main field. He's on a defensive role in races like this over the big mountains. Over to the right-hand side, good to see Levi Leipheimer is there. He's in the pale blue jersey just behind his own teammate, Peter Velits. And obviously he's hiding a little bit of good form, and we'll find out as this race unfolds just how good Levi Leipheimer is going to be. But I do have a feeling that we're going to see a mad dash down at the descent, because I don't think anybody expected the peloton to be quite so large.
No, I think you're right. And look at this now, Paul. This is life swinging to the back of the race here, because this is the man who was in the lead moments ago. He's now just hanging on to the tail of the peloton. If he can hang on for 200 yards, 300 yards, he will go down the hill with this group, and that's his next aim, I suspect.
I thought you were going to do a bull riding call there, Phil. Hang on if you can for just 8 seconds. Well, it's about 200 meters.
Absolutely. This is the move to the top, and United Healthcare have taken over the work rate of Garma Barracuda because they're now lining up for the King of the Mountains here, and this could be an interesting sprint finish because Boye is off the back and Genet isn't going to score. And can you believe the pictures froze on us there? We'll give you the result as soon as we can. It's not going to alter the destiny of the King of the Mountains jersey today. So the Nissan winner for the second day will be David Boye. But as he's off the back, we may have to wait a little while for him to come in to receive the jersey at the finish.
I'll give a bit of a quick guess there, Phil. I think Rory Sullivan was third as he went over the top there. A change in the orange jersey, though, because moving to the front end of this pack is Luis Leon Sanchez. You might just see him with those fluorescent yellow glasses, and he's a very good descender. United Healthcare have done 55% of the work over the last 10 minutes, with 45% of the work being done by Garmin Barracuda.
The American teams reminding the other riders they are racing on American soil here in California. The man with his hand up there was none other than Luis Leon Sanchez, two-time stage winner of the recent Tour of Romandy, where he tried to win that race and in the end just got beat in the time trial. I think he's going back for a drink. I don't think he had a problem as we gaze out now across the top of the Creek Summit. And as our cameraman now looks around for the riders, there they are. And don't forget, you can have the opportunity on the final day of this race to ride the same circuit as the pros. It is the Nissan Ride Before the Pros. It takes place in downtown Los Angeles at LA Live on Sunday, May 20th. The time you can all do it between 8 and 9:30. And anybody can go and have a go. It's free to all. So don't forget to log on to Amgen Tour of California /Nissan and get your registration in and enjoy that ride before the pros show you how you really should do it. Now, this is interesting because this now is Luis Leon Sanchez suddenly appearing back at the front of the group here and bringing them down the mountain. Now, we were told this was quite a tortuous descent. At the moment, Rabobank using their skills. That's where we are, right on the top. End of the high point, we go down in lumps and bumps as we descend basically to the finish. It's not quite as our graphic shows you. We do have little kickers going up, but basically it's all downhill from here on in. The rider just taking a drink out of his back pocket, some food. He's Brian van der Borg of Denmark, the only Danish rider on Team Spider-Sec. So Sanchez on the front as he comes down now. I must say that Sanchez is probably playing safe here, bringing them down off the road. A sharp right-hand turn continues this descent. Now the green jersey and the yellow jersey, as indicated on our graphics, are in this group. There's the results of the climb. It was Phil Dylan who went up for Ireland. As second was Chris Jones, third was Rory Sutherland, and then came Sanchez and Hessing, the two Rabobank riders. So good ride by Phil Dylan, and it's Dylan, the Irish rider, who has been doing all of the work for United Healthcare so far. So the Nissan King of the Mountains over for today. The new leader there is David Boye. Now it's up to Sagan here to keep that yellow jersey. Well, we've gone back to the rear of the peloton here as we continue live coverage of this second stage of the Amgen Tour of California, presented by Live California. Now, the leader, Peter Sagan, moments ago, has dropped back from the peloton to speak to his team car. He's got the answer, it appears, and he's now racing back up the field there. The rider from the Australian Orica Green Edge team is Lee Howard, who is pretty high up overall as well, former world champion on the track. And again, Sagan using his car to close the gap. If the referees see this, he's going to catch quite a time penalty, because this is the second time today we've seen this from Peter. So the front, it is the team riders of Peter Sagan who are continuing to keep the pressure on here, while at the back Sagan is trying to catch up with the field. But it is a big group at the front now, Paul, and Sagan himself, as I said earlier, I think he might be the diversion for a couple of days, because they're really thinking of Vincenzo Nibali.
I'm sure he's a diversion, and I'm sure that Vincenzo Nibali wants to try and get himself a victory here in the overall. He'll try and nurse his way around the first few days, but then everybody has to come out and play when we get to the individual time trial around Bakersfield. It's a tough time trial, 18 miles long, 25 kilometres. You'll see some big gaps start to open when we get down to that time trial. Then after that, you've got big, massive... Oh, there's a problem. I wonder what he had.
This was the problem.
Well, there you see, quick change. He was trying to get himself organised. And again, that was a pretty good change there. We'll put that down at 10 to 12 seconds. Mechanic picks up the wheel, pushes him off, and he will still be right up in the convoy of cars.
Well, I tell you, that was a front wheel change, and that was why it was a quick one. No gears to mess around with, a few seconds, and he got him away. That was what he was worried about, and he was making the decision as to when to make the change. I'm a little bit surprised nobody's told his teammates.
Well, you know, the fact is that they may well not, but in this part of the world, they may well not be able to get the information from the front to the back, but he will be very quickly back in the main folder. The reason he waited so long, Phil, was because he probably had a softening front tire. He waited for the right moment to change it. He waited till he got the team car right up alongside him. He went alongside and he even had the intelligence to tell the team manager, get yourself ready because my problem was with the front wheel, and that's what they've just got the information now, which is why they've sat up.
Well, I think the message may just have come through to those riders on the front because they've stopped working and they've been told that the yellow jersey is trying to catch up here, and they're leaving it now to others. And again, you see, it's the team car of Sagan trying to find its correct place in the convoy, which is number one when you have the race leader on the team. And so the car was going back to its correct position, but he also happens to have the race leader not too far off his slipstream now.
And as dangerous as that might look, you know, the bike riders are in complete control. They know what they're doing. They ride their bikes like this every day of the year, and they feel very comfortable, especially when they're as close as that to a car, because although it might look dangerous to you sitting at home in your sofa, this guy knows, and it looks as if he's still not very happy, and he's looking back and he wants his team car again. He's not completely satisfied, I think, with what's going on here.
Well, what 2 days has this man had? Puncturing near the finish yesterday, winning the stage, doing it again and falling off today. Now it looks as though Team BMC have got themselves in control of the front. Now he wants a drink. That's why he's gone back, as he rejoined the race. Bit of a tight bend there. Oh, my goodness me, that was nearly a knockoff job by Peter Sagan and the team car, but it's all safe and sound now. These guys at times really are acrobats as they dice on these descents, which are often very, very steep and very dangerous. Sagan is back in the action, and a lot earlier, I might add, than he was yesterday when he finished up winning the stage. If these riders come together again today to the finishing line, Sagan could be your man to win 2 stages in a row. I did notice, by the way, on Twitter that Taylor Phinney, the rider from the United States who's currently riding the Giro d'Italia, said that Sagan will win the first 4 days of racing. I thought, what would you know, Taylor? Well, he's been right so far, we'll see. His teammates, Taylor Phinney's teammates that is, because Taylor's riding the Giro, on the front of the race here at the moment, keeping the pace nice and high. And well, we've gone over the top of the King of the Mountains, but I did say that there are little undulations before we start our plunge down to the finishing line. And we still have Visit California Sprint, which will come with about 14 miles to race to the finish. The top of the Burr Creek, which we've gone over, was pinpointed at 30 miles from the finish. So as we continue the lead here from BMC, they're now taking over to the front. They're the teammates, of course, of the riders they hope will do. Let's have a look then at the SRAM Tour Insider.
The Tour Insider, powered by SRAM. I'm Dave Toll with Michael Zellman. We're here at stage 2 of the Amgen Tour of California on our way to Santa Cruz today.
120 miles, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. We had the chance to talk to United Healthcare's Rory Sullivan.
Rory will have a lot of insight for us. He always rides in the top 5 here at the Amgen Tour of California.
The first stage of the Amgen Tour of California. You know, we're in Santa Rosa and there's these tiny little roads, ups and downs, climbs left, right. You know, it's a pretty hectic little course today. The other really great things about the SRAM Red 2012 group set, I love the shifters. You know, I've always, also with that is the braking, which I tried out today. And one of the big things I noticed was coming into a corner at the last minute, and you don't know there's a hairpin coming up on a descent or someone moves at the last minute, is that I could grab the brakes later and I could still come to a pretty comfortable, not a stop, but still make it through the corner pretty safely, and it really gave me a lot more confidence in getting around corners than I guess I've had before.
Powered by SRAM.
Well, we've seen plenty of Roy Southern already today. That was our SRAM Tour Insider, and he's been using those brakes a lot, I would imagine, coming down these mountains. As most of the rides, we've got an attack. Now, this is a moment. Team AG2R Le Mondial from France have decided to go for the sprint here because this is at the 14 mile to go point.
Oh, 5Ks.
So 25 kilometers to go, Paul. Just up the road is Summit Road, and that is where we go to the Visit California sprint point. There is a 3-second time bonus here for the riders over the top, and it looks to me as though we now have one rider going clear, and it's Maxime Bouet. Good move by him. He was in the break yesterday.
He certainly was in the breakaway yesterday, and it might give him a little bit of liberty here because we've had such a hard chase over these final two mountains, Empire Grade and Bear Creek, that they might think that there'll be a little bit of respite. But no, in fact, they've decided not to have any respite at all, and there's a big move coming off the front. These are the counter moves starting to go. If you start to relax, then all of a sudden people see the relaxation coming into the main field, and they see the chance of an opportunity, and they're grabbing it.
Good solid attack though by Maxime Bouet. Now can he hang on, because we've got a little group coming, and as they close in on the gap here, that I think it's not no, it's not. I thought for a moment it was the leader of the race, Peter Sagan, coming across, but in fact this is an incredible effort by the group as they come back together. Small group, the open mouths there of Camp Mire, I think it is just there.
Serious little move coming off the front here.
This is Jeff Lauder on the left of our picture, who's made the gap of 1 kilometre to go. And Jeff Lauder pushing here to try and win the Visit California Green Points jersey for the day, because he got a lot of points yesterday. He won the first 2 sprints out on the road.
I just figured out, Phil, I've just remembered who that rider is with the strange jersey. In fact, it's the Dutch rider on United Healthcare, Mark de Maar. We saw him ride extremely well in the Amgen Tour last year. And in fact, that strange jersey he's wearing, he's the champion of the Dutch Antilles. You didn't know that, did you?
Yes, yeah, I think it was 2 years ago, but I had him down as Jeff Lauder, so I'll settle with that then. Yes, I did, Andy, and I think there's only one cyclist in that Dutch Championship, to be honest, but anyway, he's won it. And the rider from Green Edge there, who has just picked him up also, I thought it was, and that is Luke Dorbridge. So it's we call him Luke Turbo Dorbridge. 38 miles an hour they've gone past. Oh, cool. The back's going faster than the front. How do they do that?
Well, I'm not sure, but I hope the California Highway Patrol are not watching this afternoon, because I think we might be going over the speed limit this afternoon. As you can see, they're now getting very, very nervous indeed, and that's because they've seen a small move going off the front end of the main field. Everybody's looking back to see if they've broken the stranglehold of the peloton, but no, they haven't. They're slowly coming back together. Again, this is Mark de Maar. He's a strong bike rider, this guy, and he's come out of the pack, and he's decided this is the day for United Healthcare. They were really trying to set something up. We thought they were trying to set something up. It got the sprint we went through there without even noticing it. So Mark de Maar here from Holland and United Healthcare taking maximum points home here this afternoon.
And a 3-second time bonus as well, which is all going to keep him moving up the overall classification if they come down together, as they might well do.
So now the calm comes back, but watch it, these guys are getting so close to the finish now that as soon as it starts to slow down like that, you'll see attack starting to come again once over the top and looking to try and prize an advantage on the run in towards the finish.
Well, we have Tim Duggan on the front, I think, at the moment, but the group is regrouping at the front just now, because that split, there's a nice little shot of Tim Duggan. He's only a small guy, but boy, he's got some power in that body as they continue there to drive on at the moment. And Peter Sagan has got himself up to third wheel, 2 teammates setting the pace. Chris Horner taking a drink there, 4th wheel down, putting it safely in the cage. These are tense moments now, because the mountains are now behind the riders as we race towards the finish, and the yellow jersey of Peter Sagan has got his team on the front, and he's using Tim Duggan of the USA to drive it on towards the finish. So as the field continues home, we'll take a break and come back soon. Well, Welcome back to the Amgen Tour of California. We're inside 12 to go, and there is the defending champion Chris Horner right up in the thick of the action. He is the subject of our Nissan Athlete Profile today. And let's not forget who has won the 2011 Amgen Tour of California. 2 arms aloft.
Yeah, last year in the Tour of California before it started, of course, I was told from Johan Renil to show up with the best form I possibly could and with form that could win the Tour de France. I knew I had the fitness out in training to know that the legs were very, very good. Where it would stand in terms of politics with the team and stuff like that, of course, with Levi being a 3-time past winner of the Tour of California, that part led some doubt in my mind in terms of what my role would be on the team. But certainly I knew after the Sierra stage, I knew that stage would define what the rest of the race would become.
Chris Horner has accelerated here and Levi can't follow. Now that is a story.
My legs were fantastic early in the stage. It took 5 miles into the stage to know that I had winning legs. But of course, as we've started this Sierra climb, the role is still, of course, to look after Levi, keep Levi out of trouble. And it wasn't until we caught Ryder that I knew that it was time to go.
Chris Horner is the next leader of this tour with a great win.
I had no doubts on Sierra. I knew I was going to win the Tour of California at that moment.
Sure, Horner said then, this is for you, Levi. You're taking the win, and I'm taking the win too, because tomorrow I'm going to win the Tour of California.
It was a fabulous moment at that particular point in time to win the Tour of California. It really felt very just floating on the clouds. For sure, what all the Americans are going to wonder now is with Levi and I splitting up, we've added some drama. So it'll give the fans at home, it'll give the announcers, it'll give the press some drama. Now Levi and I are going at each other instead of with each other. And then, of course, have I recovered 100% from last year's tour?
There was this massive pileup of riders, and I think indeed Chris Horner is also down in there.
Are you sure? Yeah, for sure. But I finished?
Yes.
I don't understand that. I only know from what I watched on the video because, of course, that the whole day and part of the night before and part of the night after got knocked out of my head. I just think I was on autopilot. There's no doubt about it. I mean, there was nobody at home and the lights were off. So it really shows the determination, I think, of how all athletes are, not just cyclists, but all athletes in general. We really do it for the love of the sport. And when the light bulb finally turned on in my head the next morning and I look up at the clock and it says 8:15 a.m., I look back at the team doctor and I'm like, let's go, we can make the race.
Well, that's on Nissan Athlete Profile. What a great rider he is, Chris Horner. There's a little bit more on me. 40 years of age, can you believe this? He's just short of 6 feet tall. He was the winner in grand style of last year's Amgen Tour of California. And I think, in fairness, he is the big favourite this year around because he seems to be so confident in his ability. And he doesn't count his 40 years as being a disadvantage. And he's right at the front of this peloton right now. And we are looking at the moment of around about 10 miles to go down to the finish. Not absolutely sure that, but yes, 10 miles to go.
Well, with the liquid gas riders on the front end of the peloton, Phil, it's pretty obvious what they're trying to do. They're trying to set with one man, and that, of course, is Tim Duggan. You can see him, the American rider here. He's setting what is known as a hard false tempo. It makes it uncomfortable for everybody else in the main, Phil, and it discourages any guys from trying to launch and organize a big attack of 5 or 6 riders. And the reason for that is because they want to keep the peloton together on the running towards the finish. Because the man you can see sitting in 4th position there in that yellow jersey with the blue bands across the shoulders, Peter Sagan, everybody reckons that he is the fastest man in this race. But to do that, he's going to have to use his team sensibly. He's using Tim Duggan. Once they get closer to the finish, they'll start to wind up and organize a lead out. But there's a lot of other guys want to beat him.
Well, our man from Boulder, Colorado is really flying the flag in California today, that's for sure. As he continues to make it to the descent. And so as we continue on, Well, now I know hockey fans, you're waiting for the New Jersey Devils versus the New York Rangers. Well, the race here is a little bit behind schedule. We will be joining that straight after this race finishes. So stay with us and enjoy a new sport, because, boy, these riders are really flying at the moment as they head towards the finish in Santa Cruz County. But you will get the coverage of the Eastern Conference Final very shortly. So we're inside now, just 10 miles from the finish of the race. 16 kilometers per hour. We've just gone through 15 kilometers around about with these sort of speeds. About 18 minutes to ride now to the finishing line, and it looks as though Lee Quigasson, in particular, the American rider, well done Tim Duggan, doing his job as a helper on the squad to keep his two top men, Peter Sagan and Nibali, in the right place.
Yeah, normally, Phil, on a running towards a finish like this at these kind of speeds, if you're talking about 6 miles or 10 kilometers, they will normally knock off those 10 kilometers at 12 or 13 minutes. So it gives you an idea just how fast these guys are actually going. And when they come into town, when they get into the final kilometer, which is 1,000 yards long, they will normally knock off the final kilometer in less than a minute.
I have to say I'm a little concerned of the finishing line, because we obviously commentate from the finish. We have had a little look at the approach into the finish, and I'm not so sure it's a safe finish for such a big bunch. And riders, when they smell the chance of victory, will take risks.
Especially sprinters, they are the craziest men in the world, and they just get into that zone. They don't even think about it. All they think about is waiting for the door to open, the gap to open, and once they see that, they'll jump into it and try and get themselves that victory. They'll snatch it, they'll take risks. I sometimes wonder, Phil, if sprinters don't check out their brain at 500 meters to go and pick it up on the way back to the hotel.
Sometimes they don't take the brain with them, Paul. They pick it up when they get, as you say, back at the hotel. Well, good riding here by Tim Duggan. It really is. He's doing as long as he can at the front for his team. But if you keep the pace high, then you see other riders can't get off the front of the peloton and attack. That's all his plan is at the moment.
Yeah, it certainly is. He dishes out that little pain and he rides. He's hurting himself, that's for sure. But the kind of pace that he's dictating to the peloton here hurts everybody else. It puts him into that little bit of a zone of uncomfort. And at that point, they're thinking, well, I don't feel that great this afternoon, so I'm not going to launch the attack. And it discourages anybody from moving off the front end of the main field. They will, though, Phil, try as we get closer to the finish. This is the new colours at the back here of the Orica Green Edge squad. Great to see at the top end of the sport now an Australian team who will be looking to ride the Tour de France this year for the first time as an Australian professional team.
Absolutely it is, and they better get the house in order for the last 3 days of the race, because the owner of the team, Jerry Ryan from Australia, will be paying a visit to California, and he wants to see his jersey hitting the front at some stage. Sagan talking with his teammates, the yellow jersey talking to his mates who wear those lime green colours. They're all his men, and he's brought them all to the front now. It's time for the pawns to lead the board towards the finishing line.
And then we'll leave the knights, the kings and the bishops at the back to take over the final part of the glory. There, Sagan, he's very calm. There's Levi Leipheimer, just looking very, very comfortable. Where's number 21? Unbelievable, Phil, to think that he's got himself into this bike race.
Absolutely. Levi Leipheimer, he'll know today whether he's going to finish down in LA Live next Sunday, but I think he really is okay. His leg heavily bandaged from his broken leg only 5.5 weeks ago.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a pretty busy weekend of sport, Phil, because by the time we get down to the LA Live finish just in the heart of Los Angeles, if you go straight away from the end of the bike race, you can go straight in to see a hockey game as well.
Absolutely right, yes. So as we see the riders making their regrouping, but all under the escort here. Now, as we head towards the finish, we will take one more break, and I'll remind all the hockey fans patiently watching the finish of this stage of the race, we will be joining the Eastern Conference Final, and immediately these riders finish, and I reckon we're about 15 minutes at the outside now from hitting that finishing line, and if Tim Duggan has his way, we'll get there even quicker. Because he really is driving this race on now. We're hitting speeds in excess of 40 miles an hour on the way down to the finish. This is where we're heading to. The finishing line is ready, but you see that sweeping corner there. It's going to be a very difficult finish today. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll take it to the finish. We'll see you in a moment. This is the Amgen Tour of California on NBC Sports Network, brought to you by Amgen. Pioneering Science delivers vital medicines. Visit us at amgen.com. And by AEG, giving the world reason to cheer. And by Visit California. Start your tour of the Golden State at visitcalifornia.com. California, find yourself here. And by Villiers Triestina, 106 years of bicycle making tradition and innovation, and sponsor of Team Lamprey ISD. And today it's stage 2, sponsored by Visit California, as we look at the beaches here in Santa Cruz County. This is where we're bound for now. Well, you may not see the beaches where these riders are going. A tricky approach into the finishing line. A little bit of chatting going at the back with Peter Wiening, a former teammate of the man on the right, Robert Hessing. He's now joined the Orica Green Edge team. Now we are running into the last 6 kilometres or 3.5 miles of the day of racing, Paul. We have topped the highest points of the race so far. Somehow this group has raced back together, and a massive bunch is going to fight out the finish with a 10-second bonus to the man who wins. Sagan may have to win the day to keep his yellow jersey.
And look where he's riding, Phil, right up there in 4th position there. He's very comfortable. He's got his teammates around him. His teammates are setting all of the pace making. He's sitting there and waiting, seeing if anybody else is going to be brave enough to come back and to try and challenge him. But he will have challenges today, Phil, because there's a lot of hungry sprinters in this race. Also, let's not forget Henrik Hausler got very, very close to the victory yesterday, and I think today he will be looking to maybe put one over on the overall leader, Peter Sagan.
Well, Hausler certainly sprinted well yesterday, and he only has to convert one place to get the 10-second win bonus there. As you're looking still at the incredible work rate of the American rider, Tim Duggan. Nobody wants to help him out. He's been hitting those pedals now for about 10 miles, if not more. Creeping up on the left, the yellow, red and black jerseys of Team BMC, trying to get themselves in the picture. That is, they're trying now to rig up their sprinter and help TJ Van Garderen keep his place as well. But their sprinter is Greg Van Avermaet, who's a Belgian rider on that team.
He struggled on the climbs. A lot of riders struggled on the climbs, but they fought their way back into this event. The dark black jerseys you can see on the right hand side, that again, Phil, that's amazing to me. That's the young Bontrager Livestrong team. They're not scared at all about the fact that they're racing against some of the biggest teams in the world. Radio Shack, Nissan Trek, Garmin Barracuda, Omega Pharma Quickstep, BMC Racing, and they're right up there getting themselves organised as well.
Well, it's a team which is coached by Axel Merckx, the son of the legendary Belgian cyclist Eddy Merckx. And Axel is very open. He says, my guys aren't going to win the Amgen Tour of California, but you'll know they've been in the race. And there are some in the long term have great talent, and they'll show it at times in this race. And I think that's exactly what is happening.
There's another green jersey moving to the front there, but it's not a Liquigas Cannondale jersey at all. In fact, it's a jersey. Oh, there's a little bit of a problem.
There's a crash right there in the middle of the road. And again, at the same, that's Matt Boucher, who's on the far side. BMC colours is down. And just looking down on the floor, the champion, there he is, that's Matt Boucher, the champion of the USA. Again, a touch of his ball, again on the straight road. I'm just wondering what's happening in cycle racing this year. We're having some silly crashes.
Well, you know what's happening, Phil, is guys are taking a lot of risks. They're riding us sometimes very much on the end, on the edge of their risk-taking ability. You see Sagan looking back there to see what sort of has happened in that accident. But certainly,
at least he wasn't in it.
The American, he was riding at the front. You don't very often fall off from position 3 or 4 in a peloton like that. But now the discussion will be going around that group now to see who's gone down. Have we got any teammates left behind there? And but there is 4 kilometres to go. A serious amount of urgency. I just noticed Josh Atkins there, the Kiwi rider on the Bontrager Livestrong team. He wasn't involved in that crash, and he's close up to the front.
Yes, and I think he's a little bit of a sprinter as well, because he's sitting in 6th place overall in this race after yesterday's fine performance. He's only 19 years of age. He's far right of our picture there in that sort of off-yellowish jersey as the Rabobank's top young rider.
Check out this crowd. This is unbelievable.
They have waited patiently to see the arrival in Santa Cruz County here of the Amgen Tour of California. They are witnessing now being driven on by the Liquigas Cannondale team of the race leader.
On the right-hand side, you can just see a guy with a green jersey and a blue helmet on. That is Henrik Hausler. He's an Australian rider on Garmin Barracuda. And funnily enough, I noticed, Phil, that Josh Atkins has said, right, I know what wheel I want to follow around here this afternoon. He's locked into the wheel of his own compatriot there. Although they're on different teams, they come from the same country.
Just 2 miles to go to the finish, or if you like it in kilometres, just over 3 kilometres to go to the finishing line now. Still Liquigas have control. The other boys are trying not to go in front of them. That's little Josh Atkins on the far right here, the 19-year-old who is from New Zealand, but he rides on the American Bontrager Livestrong team. He's keeping his nose clean and he's watching every move. He's learning fast.
He certainly is, and I tell you what, 2 miles, Phil, 3 kilometres. It's going to take these guys around about 4 minutes to get to the finish line, but these are nervous moments. Whenever you come into town, any town in the world, not just the United States, if it's France, if it's Belgium, if it's Spain, these traffic furniture out on the road, it makes it very, very dangerous for bike riders. But that crash has had a serious effect on this bunch, because a lot of guys have actually been left behind because of that crash, and they won't see the peloton again today.
And they will lose time because they were outside the 3 kilometre rule, which would have given them the same time when they fell down. There's an attack on now, and it looks as though it's United Healthcare has made a move here. As it starts, this is Rory himself, and now that is a cheeky move. Rory Sutherland going for a time bonus here, and that is a big danger. And let us not forget that Rory Sutherland is a very, very good time trial rider. To steal a 10-second win bonus at time here would be a real coup.
Well, it would, but watch out, because the team that's trying to get across the gap is the team of the youngsters, Bontrager Livestrong, in that black jersey there. You've got to be a top man here, Phil, if you think you can hold off a charging main field as they run into town in the final 2 or 3 kilometres. And again, it's all being left up to Team Liquigas Cannondale to do the control of the pressure at the front. They've got halfway across that Bontrager Livestrong, but Rory Sutherland has opened up a pretty serious gap there, and I think all of a sudden you're going to hear the alarm bells ringing in the main field.
2 kilometres to go. He's in a group of about 40 riders, 10 seconds off the race lead. There's a 10-second bonus for the man that wins, so that will wipe that out. Any time gain will give him at the race leader's yellow jersey. And as I say, he is one of the world's top time trial riders. He's on form. He's just won recently the Tour of Gila in New Mexico. And you can see now he's taking the whole road here. He's clipping the corners. He's causing a little bit of panic in the back. That peloton is also getting smaller in size. I think it's split up. There's the others.
Well, they're all back together now, Phil, don't worry. Rory Sutherland taking the advantage here of a slight rise in the road to try and prise open a couple more bike lengths. He knows how important this is. He's got the bit between his teeth at the moment as he doesn't look back. He gets himself concentrated. He's got a lot of power in those legs, but the gap's slowly coming back. They're edging their way back up to his slipstream. They're not going to give any presents out this afternoon here. It was a good move, Rory Sutherland, but I don't think it's going to work this afternoon.
Well, the peloton is still trying to bring him back, but he'll give them a run to go under the Kendo. 1 kilometre to go, Banner now. That's 1,000 metres from the line. If they catch him, he'll be about 500 metres out.
Well, they've got the organisation. They're clawing their way back into his slipstream. You've got a lot of riders lining themselves up. There's Green Edge, and that's Luke Durbridge right in the middle. But again, it's going to be the Garmin Barracuda boys. They will be looking after Heinrich Hausler this afternoon. He'll be wearing a green jersey. He's second in the points classification. And now is the moment when you've got to keep calm. You've got to wait. There's a big organisation, BMC Racing, there also. They'll be looking after their sprinter. That's Greg van Avermaet.
The fourth wheel, as we look from the helicopter, is the yellow jersey of Peter Sagan. The win bonus will certainly keep him in the race lead tomorrow. A very dangerous sprinter's 2 wheels behind him in Greg van Avermaet. The field is closing in and the field is launched, and the rider second of those 2 riders in green is in fact Lee Howard. If he wins this, he could be the next leader of the race, and Sagan knows that. This is the tricky bend, Paul. They lock very sharply into the home straight. Sagan is over the shoulder of Lee Howard, and he's launched a searing sprint. So Taylor Phinney predicted he'd been 1 and 2. It looks like Taylor Phinney was right, because he has won his second stage and he gets the 10-second time bonus.
And he got it, Phil, all in that final corner. He didn't back it off. He never touched his brakes at all. He had the right line going around that corner. No, didn't lose any momentum at all. Yes, congratulations. This man is going to definitely be the chef of the orchestra.
The 10-second time bonus will nudge him a little bit further ahead. Now, I emphasise, I don't think 10 seconds will mean too much when we get down to Big Bear Lake and to the finish on Mount Baldy, but right now it's consolidated.
Look at that kick. The man who's going to get second, in fact, there you can see is Heinrich Hausler, but what a kick. He's won that all because of the acceleration and it looks as if it was Lee Howard got himself up there in third place. But this man in the Sprintsville at the moment is untouchable.
And the same 1-2 as it was indeed yesterday. Heinrich Hausdale didn't have the answer at all to the finishing kick of Peter Sagan. This rider who also leads the competition on points and also the best young rider. He's got 3 jerseys. You can't win them all. They pass them down the line, but he's in the lead in 3 competitions.
And I tell you what, let's not forget that he was the winner of the points classification of this bike race last year. But look at this. You can see Lee Howard there looking down, shouting to the engine room, can I have a little bit more power, please? But as Sagan looks back, he knows he's got the gap. He knows he's got the victory. And it's such a dominating victory here that he can enjoy his final few moments as he raises the applause from the crowd.
Yes, well, he can't believe the way it's going. He's not winning these stages easily because he's very active all day, either puncturing or falling off. But when he gets down to the finish, he does it remarkably well. That's 2 wins now for Peter Sagan out of 2 possible chances. So there we are. And we'll have a very quick look at the overall standings before we get over to the hockey. As Peter Sagan is taken around to receive another yellow jersey here in the Amgen Tour of California. He's only 22 years of age. And as we watch Sagan go away, don't forget you can log on for the full schedule and race highlights onto NBCSports.com. We have a full recap coming to you tonight. But the race now has come to a very hot point on the course. Big day tomorrow. Our coverage will continue at 5 Eastern. And don't forget, New Jersey Devils versus New York Rangers. Game 1 is up next. Enjoy that. But I bet they don't go as fast as these guys went to the finishing line today. For Paul Sherwin, Phil Liggett saying, until tomorrow, goodbye.